So it's over to Mark and myself, who designed the last challenge. Somewhat pressurised environment, but there are some important skills in addition to the ones about foresighting that I sort of hope you gain from that. This ability to be able to respond very quickly in a short amount of time and present some relevant information back. I think Neil's comments earlier on around what he's had to face going back to work kind of hammers that home. So this idea that you've got to be able to, or you're given an incident, given something, you've got to work on it and you've got to present it back very fast in very tight time constraints is hopefully a skill set that you've learned. I was very impressed with a lot of the thinking that I heard when I went round, some really interesting and innovative ideas. Certainly a lot of the thinking about how all of the components come together, all the dominoes are stacked up in order to create a disaster. So just hand over to Mark for a few comments.
Yeah, I think what I found remarkable about what you did today is that it was an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, if you had, I would love to spend a day doing a similar exercise and kind of just ramping it up to the next level, because I think all the projects had the potential to really be developed further. And so I thought it was absolutely brilliant what you did today. And I think next year I'll be trying to get Dan to give me more space to do this, because it's all about it's not simply responding to problems, it's about looking at what the problems are going to be in 5-10 years time, the future problems. And I think that, to me, that's what the challenge is, because we kind of know what the existing problems are. We can create the technical solutions, but I think for you to have longevity in this space, it's all about being able to look to the future. So on that note, I think we'll hand out certificates.
Yeah. So I think we were both unanimous. I think we were both unanimous in our decisions, which was
the second case study. Thanks, Dan. Which was the second case study on what I would see as energy security and critical infrastructure in terms of energy transportation. And we both felt that that was one we would really like to develop further as a potential case study, although they all had potential, but this was the most polished. And when I do these exercises, I'm always impressed with what you can do with such limited resources in such a short space of time. And I thought, there was real creativity and innovation in the presentation technique. Daniel?
Thank you. So first up is Senga. Edward Sobey. Ryan Lothian. Michael Shue. Christopher Turman. Yeah, really well done. Tight time constraints, really good ideas, and thanks a lot for participating in this challenge today. You can go sit. Yay. Right, so I'm afraid you're stuck with me for a little bit longer as I do a little bit of a debrief of what we've gone through today and the whole of the camp, really. Wednesday night was a little bit of a nice feed-in, just getting to know everybody, seeing where everything was, get you set up for the heat for a couple of the other days as well, because I remember it being quite warm on the Wednesday evening. And then we hit you pretty hard on the Thursday with the nuclear power station attacks. And I'm just really impressed with a lot of the work that went on there, the insights that people were given, and you may not have felt it, but actually the way the teams really came together to start to deliver some properly good stuff. The way that you managed to pull yourself together, the way you really sort of organised yourselves on that was really, really good. And we have to thank KPMG for delivering an absolutely excellent challenge. I know those guys worked really, really hard. They loved it, but they were still up until 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get the things to work. So a big round of applause for them. But it wasn't all fun and games, hacking into things. You know, part of this was, you know, obviously learning by doing, but we want to deliver some knowledge to you as well. So we had Royal Holloway coming along to deliver a good lecture on informed defence, and that was really interesting, and I hope you guys gained a lot of information from just thinking a little bit more critically around defence and attack, and the management sort of approaches that go behind that. So you've got the front end skills, but then you started to think a little bit more about how you glue it all together and run it inside a business. So a big round of applause for Royal Holloway as well. And then we kicked off with Design a Business in a Day. And you all absolutely rose to the challenge. That was one of the days that I was a little bit nervous about, if I'm honest, because not really done anything like that. You're all primary technologists, and so throwing you in a room and saying do a business was an incredibly tough challenge, and I think everyone here did an absolutely excellent job of coming up with an interesting idea, interesting problem space, interesting solution, and an interesting business model. And that was one of the hardest things, I think, not going beyond the problem, beyond the solution, and working out how you actually sell it. And that was excellent, and every single team did exceptionally well. And I think nearly every team, I would say, had a unique idea that would really go forward in the marketplace. And actually, if you probably combined all of the ideas together, you would have a fantastic product. So, you know, there's 22 people here, so form yourself a company and go and corner the marketplace. That would be our IPO then, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, Mal and I, we've got 3 years of 3 years exclusive exploitation rights. But that was really good, and I was really impressed. You all really engaged with the task and actually understood the concepts that we were trying to get across to you. And again, the way that you formed yourself into teams and delivered the team projects was excellent. And then we tried to do something novel around forensics on the Saturday with our PetQ friends, and big sort of congratulations to those for designing sort of the first half of the challenge and the overall scheme. Every other sponsor's got a clap when I mention them, so PetQ should do, because they worked very, very hard on that first part, going through the whole investigative process. And then in the afternoon, we handed them off to our friends from Microsystemation. And we had Sean and Claire helping us to run the technical challenge. And again, you guys were really good at going through the technical work, but also combining it with the stuff that you had in the morning to understand the information that's coming out of the investigation, the human side, combining it with the technical information was really, really interesting to see the way that you were doing that. And then it ended in courtroom drama. It was like being in Perry Mason, you guys standing up and really delivering outstanding performances. All 4 teams did exceptionally well in the courtroom. Really, really good. You all stood up, you all delivered your information, and considering it was designed as well as a high pressure environment, 1 person, cameras, judge, and a prosecutor asking very, very detailed and sometimes not very nice questions. Micro SD, what's that? And having to explain that was really good. And then today, thinking.
Sorry, he's missing out Lancaster and Dan, who actually did all the. Oh, sorry, Dr. Evil, who did all the information, the data on the SD micro. So, Lancaster.
And then today, the challenge that Mark and I have designed, and you know, again, as I said, everything about that, you did a really good job. And what was interesting for me, again, is just the ability that you went away with and just took the technology, combined it with civil situations, government legislation, and thought about what's going to happen in the future. And I reiterate Mark's points, thinking that actually we've got some really interesting research off the back of that. There are some really interesting research projects off of this that could be spun out. And there's some really important questions that need to be answered. And you were the guys that identified them. And you know, I strongly encourage you to think about how you could take that forward yourselves. Working with local universities, or you know, if you want to come back up here, we're more than welcome to have you. But then what was really important for me was you started to identify the questions, and that's the starting point for any decent piece of research. So well done there. And then that brings us to here. Thank you very much. I hope you really have enjoyed your time at Lancaster. I know I've certainly enjoyed putting it on when I wasn't running around upstairs trying to install software. And I've had a fantastic time, and big thank you to everybody who's attended, because without you guys doing what you were doing, you know, it just wouldn't have come together the way it has done. So you've been a great bunch of people. Thank you very much.